Hello everyone, this is Mr. Cole and this is our AP Government Vocabulary Screencast for Unit number 4. And as we go through this screencast, please be completing your notes in which you should be sure to have the definition and a description of how the term relates to government. And please include a drawing to help you remember the term and also use the term in a sentence. And be sure to find the time each evening to study your AP government notes, make your flashcards, and remember that we have our multiple choice test and our free response tests coming up soon. So please study every night. And here are the terms we're going to be looking at in this particular video for Unit 4. We have political culture, suffrage, social capital, natural rights, democratic consensus, political ideology, capitalism, public opinion, intensity, random sample, political socialization, selective exposure, and voter registration. All right, let's get started. So our first term is political culture, and these are all of the widely shared beliefs and values and norms that citizens hold about their relationship to the government and to one another. And this is going to be different in every city and every state and every country. But it's basically how you would sum up how the people in that given area feel about the government. Next term is suffrage. Hopefully that's a word that sounds familiar. Suffrage means the right to vote. And we have talked about suffrage with the 15th and 19th Amendments. So universal suffrage would mean that all citizens get to vote. And there's a picture here of the women's suffrage movement back in the early 1900s. Our next term is social capital, and these are all of the networks of relationships among people who live and work in a society, enabling that society to function effectively. So it's basically all the building up of relationships amongst people and all the benefits you get from that. Provides a sense of belonging, feelings of trust and safety, reciprocity, so people caring for one another and doing so in return, participation, citizens being active and having power, shared values and norms, and acceptance of diversity. And all these things are going to allow people to connect with one another to build a better society. Natural rights are the rights of all people to dignity and worth. They're also called human rights. And we've talked about these in relation to John Locke and also some of the ideas in the Declaration of Independence and other founding documents. And what people believe, the specifics of what rights you have or don't have might be different. Next term is democratic consensus. Consensus means to come to an agreement. And so democratic consensus would be to come to an agreement through voting or the principles of democratic government. And our definition here is widespread agreement of fundamental principles of democratic governance and the values that would support those principles. Our next term is political ideology, and these refer to the kind of beliefs that people have. So they are a pattern of ideas or beliefs about political values and the role of government, including how it should work and how it actually does work. So up here in the upper right here, we have a range of different beliefs or political ideologies, everything on the left from communist, all the way on the right to fascist. And this picture here is showing symbols of Republicans and Democrats, which would also be a couple of political ideologies. And our next term here is capitalism. This is a free market economic system where individuals own property and businesses compete on the open and free market. So there are a few defining characteristics of capitalism. First of all, we have the private ownership of the means of production, which basically means individual people, not the government, own the businesses. There's a free market, so you can make whatever you want. You can sell whatever you want for whatever price. It's totally open and free. Prices are determined by supply and demand. There's competition within that market, and really there's a limited government involvement. Governments don't own the businesses. Governments don't set the prices. Governments don't decide how many shoes we're going to make each year, how many blue jeans we're going to make each year. But that decision is in fact made by governments. And so the opposite of these things would be communism. Quick little break here, ladies and gentlemen, for some AP government trivia. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this video. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to be completing your notes. And trivia question here is, who was the President of the United States when the Civil Rights Act of 1964 was passed? Please shoot an email to your AP government teacher, either myself or Ms. Sosi, with that answer for some bonus points. All right, back to our terms. Please keep taking those notes, and please make sure you're pausing the video to add those descriptions of how the term relates to the government. Please make sure to add your picture or a quick diagram to remember what the term means, and definitely be sure to use the term in a sentence. All of these moves on your notes will help you really understand and internalize what the word means, and will help you understand it on our test. So the next word is public opinion, and this is just what it sounds like. It's the opinion of the public, and it's the distribution of individual preferences for or evaluations of an issue, a candidate, or an institution within a specific population. So it's all the different opinions that people have about different things in a given area. And as an example, here's a public opinion poll. So we take what's called a poll, which is to get a measurement of how people feel about something. So this is a public opinion poll with the question of, do you favor or oppose stricter gun control laws? And you can see measurement here in blue, 55% favor, in orange, 44% oppose. And so this would be a tool that we would use to measure what public opinion is. And you can see that this is a poll from early 2013. So within the idea of taking polls and measuring public opinion and asking the general public their opinions and their feelings on things is something called a random sample. And this is important because in order for us to understand what the public thinks about something, we can't actually go around to everyone's house or call everyone up on the phone or send everyone an email to ask each individual person what they think or what they believe. And so what's done is something called a random sample, where from the greater population, you take a smaller sample. There's kind of a diagram here on the left, also up here on the right. So within this large circle of the population, we're taking a small sample. And this is used in conducting public surveys or polls. And it's random, which means just that. You're randomly selecting people so that every individual has an equal chance of being selected. So which means you're randomly selecting phone numbers of people to call in order to get a measurement of how people think about a given question or an issue. So within further within the idea of measuring public opinion, there's something called manifest opinion, and that is a widely shared, consciously held view, which means consciously meaning that it's noticeable and that we know about it, such as support for Homeland Security. So for instance, a manifest opinion or a popularly held opinion would be that the United States should be securing the homeland and keeping us safe here in the United States. All right, time for another trivia question. Go ahead and shoot an email to your AP government teacher with the answer of this question, which is, which president nominated Thurgood Marshall to the Supreme Court? All right, continuing on with our words here. And again, make sure you're taking your notes, filling out all of the boxes there on your handout for each term. The next word here is political socialization. So none of us are born with any political beliefs. We're not born being a Republican or a Democrat. We're not born with opinions on abortion or gun control or First Amendment rights. But through something called political socialization, we're actually developing our own personal beliefs. So the definition here is the process by which we develop our political attributes, our political values, and our political beliefs. This is going to happen by the people we hang out with. It's going to happen based upon who our parents are, who our family members are, as they're going to be teaching us things, and their opinions are going to shape our opinions. It's also going to happen based upon where we live, what schools we go to, what jobs we have, and what media we pay attention to, what TV shows we're watching, what TV channels we're watching, what websites we're visiting, what social networking sites we're using, and all of these things are going to shape our personal beliefs, and that is all political socialization. Next word is selective exposure. So we all have our own personal beliefs and our personal opinions in terms of politics and the government. And what selective exposure means is that individuals are choosing to access media with which they agree with, or you're avoiding media with which you disagree. So in other words, you're only going to visit websites of people that agree with you and your political beliefs. You're only going to watch TV shows or TV channels where the people are agreeing with your beliefs. And so it kind of means that you're just hearing arguments you believe in, hearing opinions that you already agree with, and you're not hearing beliefs or opinions from the other side. Next word here is voter registration. And this is a system designed to reduce voter fraud by limiting voting to those who have established eligibility to vote by submitting the proper documents, including proof of residency. So not just anyone on election day can go in and vote. You have to have registered, and you have to have submitted some documents showing that you live in the place where you're going to vote. And ladies and gentlemen, our next and final word is intensity. And this gets back to where we were talking about political opinions and people's personal beliefs. Intensity is a measure of how strongly an individual holds a particular opinion. So for example, someone might be against the death penalty, and they might have the belief that there should not be a death penalty, but they might not believe it very strongly. In other words, it might not be something they think about a lot. It might not be something that is going to influence who they're going to vote for. It might not be something that they're out arguing for, speaking for. So that would be something they don't feel a lot of intensity about. Yes, it's their belief, but they don't feel super strongly about it. So there's a couple of charts and graphs here getting at that topic. So here are the questions down here on the bottom left are about gun rights. And so it's asking people questions about, have you contributed money? Have you contacted any public officials? Have you expressed the opinion on Facebook or Twitter? Or have you signed a petition? In other words, yes, you might have the belief either for or against gun control, but are you actually actively doing something about that belief? And that's measuring their intensity. Another issue here is abortion, where they're asking people in a survey, do you think abortion is a critical issue? Do you think it's just one of many important issues, or do you think it's not that important? And this is important for people in politics because this is going to show whether or not people are going to vote based upon their beliefs. And if you're running for office, you not only want to know what the beliefs that people have are, but what are the ones that they feel most strongly about? And what are the ones that are going to really motivate their decision on how to vote? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our screencast video for our Unit 4 vocabulary. Please take the time to finish up those notes. Don't forget to study. And please speak to your teacher if you have any questions. Thanks, everyone.